Oakley dokley, guys. I know I said I wasn't going to buy a lot of books, but on my day off in the middle of the week, I went out and I bought some books. So I'm just going to go over them quickly, kind of why I picked them up, and to just show you, and hopefully they'll show up in TBRs in the next couple months. So the first one on the top of the pile here is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I'm not a huge fan of this cover, but I want to see if I like it before I buy a prettier copy of it somewhere. This, I'm told, is like gothic horror that makes fun of gothic horror. And I do enjoy some of the tongue-in-cheek stuff that Jane Austen does, so I'm excited to pick this up. That being said, I haven't loved all of the books I've read by her. Pride and Prejudice was amazing. Sense and Sensibility was good. I loved Emma, but I wasn't a huge fan of Mansfield Park. So we'll see where this falls on the scale. There's a staff pick sticker on this one. Well, thank you, Heather, for recommending A Psalm for the Wild-Built. I've read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I intend to continue that series, but I also want to start picking up Becky Chambers' novellas. And I've heard really good things about this. I'm super excited, and if it still has kind of that wholesome, heartwarming vibe that the other book had, I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. In fact, I actually think that my husband might enjoy this one as well, so I'm going to actually see if he and I can buddy read it. Next is another one I'm excited for. I plan to do like a 24-hour reading vlog. For those of you who are Canadian, you know that September 30th coming up here is National Truth and Reconciliation Day. So I have one book and now two put aside to read on that day. This is Birdie. It is basically this woman, Bernice, or Birdie, takes a trip that basically ends up being kind of like a spirit vision trip to kind of get to know herself and her culture and just answer some questions that she has. It's like a vision quest. She's looking for family, for home, for understanding, and kind of a lingering desire to meet her teenage crush who was on one of her favorite shows growing up. I'm really excited to see this. It's won a bunch of awards here in Canada, and I've read a few of these books that were recommended by like CBC Reads recommendations. They've been really interesting and really impactful, so I'm hoping that this will end up being like a really awesome experience. Next is Little Heaven by Nick Cutter. I enjoyed the atmosphere and the darkness in the last Nick Cutter book I wrote. The somewhat speculative slash magical gore was, I'm like, if you just cut somebody's arm off, I'm gonna be okay with that. But if it transforms into this weird alien thing first, it bugs me a little bit more, apparently, because I had a really hard time getting through that. But I don't anticipate that with this one, because this is a cult book. So I'm super excited to pick it up. Like I said, Nick Cutter does such a good job with atmosphere and like making you question your character's filter for reality that I'm really, really super excited to pick this up. And because of how it's talked about on the back here, it doesn't seem like it's going to have the same like science fiction alien gore that I hate. So we'll see. And the next two are two of my most anticipated fantasy reads since I found out about them. The first is Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. This was a recommendation through the MyTBR service that I've signed up for. And what it is, see ghosts? Yeah. This is a story about the main character, Jessamine Teo, who is moving back to Malaysia to move back in with her parents. Things have gone a little bit awry, and she hasn't been back to this country since she's a toddler. And when she arrives, it seems like she's going to start hearing ghosts, and I've been told it's kind of a darker fantasy, which have really been enjoying lately, and it takes place using kind of lore and culture that I'm less familiar with, which I've been trying to explore to the best of my ability, and because of that, I'm very excited to pick up this book. I think it's going to be the premise just seems so interesting, even though I'm doing a terrible job explaining it to you. And then, finally, we have She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This, I'm told, is kind of like a Mulan style retelling with a little bit of fantasy kind of sprinkled over top of everything. And because of that, I am stoked. I haven't read a lot of Mulan retellings. I had a compilation that had a Mulan story in it, but it was like a short story when I was a teenager. I still regularly watch the Mulan movie. I've done a little bit of research into the original Mulan ballad, and there's just so much about the situation that's super interesting to me, and I love when you have a female character who empowers herself, and that's kind of what happens here, and I'm just really excited to see where it goes, and I've only heard good things, so I'm very, very excited to pick it up. And that is all for my mini book haul. The next time I get books will probably be around Christmas. We'll see what people get me. And with that, I'm going to leave you here. Thanks for tuning in. If you've read any of these books and want me to move them up my TBR, let me know for sure here. And I'll talk to you in the comments below. Peace.